Welcome back to this week's episode of the Rounding Third podcast. This is episode 10 already. Hard to believe we only have 3 weeks of the regular season left before we take on postseason play. But got a lot to cover today. We'll hop right to it. We got Brian Ogden as a co-host here at the show, and our special guest today, SEC Co-Player of the Week, just announced yesterday afternoon. So Ella Wesolowski, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Solid week, 6 for 8, 750 batting average. Not one, but 2 runners picked off and a caught stealing. So getting things done on both sides of the ball there. Pretty solid week for you behind the plate. Pretty solid week for you at the dish. Offensively, that is, and also behind the dish, clearly. Several RBIs, several extra base hits. The bats really came to life this weekend. 25 runs scored in the 3-game set. So a lot to be proud of from the offensive standpoint. But kind of tell us about your week. What was kind of going through your mind stepping in the box each at bat this weekend?
Yeah, well, I think each chance I've gotten so far this season, I've really had to take, just give myself grace with everything and start getting more comfortable in the box after my injury and everything. And it got to a point where I kind of let everything go just with everything I was thinking of with my injury and just everything like that, and realizing, okay, like I felt like myself again, just trusting the process. And also just with multiple conversations with teammates and them hyping me up too. And when I got to play Saturday and Sunday, I kind of just said like, okay, like let's go, let's attack, and just, yeah, so just really trusting the process and the work that I had put in that week. And just from coming off Tennessee, having a decent weekend with that too. So I think all those came together for this past weekend.
You know, you mentioned the word attack. That's something we talked about pretty much at length, really the Alabama weekend. That was week 2 of the SEC play for us. Just wanted to stay on the attack. Obviously, the Rhodes House, tough place to play, went in there and won the series in Tuscaloosa. But that was a big mindset for the Sunday finale. The rubber match was stay on the attack. You saw that with the base running. You saw that with some short game stuff we did. You saw that with Raylan in the circle. Again, she had another good weekend, 2 more wins this weekend for us. And the attack mindset flips to the defense side too, and that's where the pickoffs come from. You talk about you and Jesse Blaine, our 2 catchers back there, 8 pickoffs, which leads the country by a wide margin. Our 8 pickoffs is probably more, as much or more than the rest of the SEC. Is that right, Brian?
It's very close. And when you look at the Power 4 numbers, because that's the only ones I've been able to kind of easily go through, the Jesse Blaine alone has more than any other team in the Power 4.
Yeah.
So you got Jesse with 5. Ella now has 3. You mentioned 2 this weekend. But the next closest team in the country out of those Power 4 teams has 4.
Yeah.
So you're doubling
them up
the rest of the country. But you mentioned, and the attack mindset is a big piece of this. You mentioned the mindset side of the at-bats. And we talk a lot about Coach Ricketts and what she does with the hitters and the plans she makes. You guys kind of made a little bit of a different plan Friday night after the game. You kind of got back in the cages a little bit. Tell us about what the shift was and the new plan that you two made, because it was very different from what you might normally expect a game plan to be.
Yeah, me and Ricketts have a really good communication system. Like she and all the coaches, we really click when it comes to hitting, and she knows each of us individually as hitters really well, and I think she does a good job with communicating with us and knowing what we want. So after the game, when I was hitting, we talked about how how I can attack up there more when I'm up to the plate. And then also with this week, talking about an individual word that each of us would pick, which mine was focus. I really bought into that this weekend. I was able to focus, which helped me attack at the plate. But yeah, I talked to her more about I do better when I just don't think. And then a lot of the times when I do get a little bit nervous, I start asking questions, and that's where don't ask questions came from. And just trust the process. And when I go up there, just focus and attack like I know how to. And that also came a lot from last year too. That was a big motto of mine, to just go up and attack and just see a good pitch and attack that. So I kind of put that all together this weekend.
Yeah, so Ella has a new rule. She gets 1 inning to ask questions of her teammates, of the coaching staff, and then no more questions. Yeah. And clearly it worked out pretty well for you this weekend. So, T-Brett, you want to take us through the weekend kind of game by game, and let's break down how this Missouri series went.
Yeah, good to get back home, obviously, to the friendly confines of News Park after being on the road. Tough series in Knoxville, Tennessee. Some weather-related issues. Again, it's been kind of a theme this year a heck of a lot of doubleheaders. Obviously not that advantageous to teams that always have to play doubleheaders, but it seems like we've led the nation in conference play just about in doubleheaders. There's been a lot of them. Even going back to our Northwestern weekend, a solid quad 2 series win for us on the road in Chicago, another doubleheader. Just kind of been one of those things that really out of our control, but certainly coming back home, finally got a 3-game set. We haven't had a 3-game set since the week 1 opener against Auburn, where we swept Auburn Tigers to open up SEC play. So good to have a normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Had great weather all weekend, good crowd support, particularly on Saturday and Sunday as well. But getting the first win was huge. Raylan Chafin got back to her form, complete game shutout. Thought Key had a game-winning walk-off grand slam in the 6th, missed it by about that much. In turn, turned into a sacrifice fly for our 7th run of the game. We wound up winning the game 7-0. But yeah, Raylan was nails. I mean, she's got 18 wins now. I think that leads the conference in wins. Got to be up there at the top in the country too.
Second in the conference, 3rd in the nation.
There you go. So yeah, 18 wins in the circle for us. She's been an absolute horse in the circle for us. Defense, clean game. No errors at all on Friday. No errors at all on Sunday. And those were pretty indicative and being some key factors in us taking the series from the Missouri Tigers, a team that we talked about on the show last week, a very talented group, a lot of returners off last year's team that was 1 game away from the College World Series. So Larissa Anderson's done a tremendous job in her 7 years at Missouri, and we knew they were going to be a formidable foe coming into town. So good to take that series, and then we switch gears again, rolling into some more SEC play this week in Oklahoma.
Yeah, you mentioned the defense, and I know that defense is a pride area for you, Ella, as well. So I want to talk about defense a little bit. Nadia Barbary Friday night made not 1, not 2, but 3 plays that could have all ended up on kind of like a Sports Center top 10. I think the most impressive one was the one where she was pulled in on the bunt and just kind of had to dive and almost backwards to get to the ball. When you've got a firsthand look behind the plate there as you're watching all of these plays play out, what is your take on the way that particularly like Nadia and Kylie over there on the left side have held things down?
Yeah, well, we all just have so much trust for each other, especially when all of us are making plays like that. Like, it's hard not to trust each other. And I think, coming firsthand, I remember that play, like, with Nadia when she was pulled in, and, like, my jaw dropped. Not because, like, I have no doubt that she could make that play, but I was just like, being that close to her, it was just crazy. But, yeah, it really is just a big powerhouse on the field. Like, you can feel the energy too. They bring the energy, and we're always talking to our pitchers, and it really just is trusting each other and the work that we've put in and just being comfortable too with each other.
Yeah. You mentioned Kiara Sells. Almost a grand slam.
Yep.
She did leave the yard once in that game.
Yep.
And then on Sunday, she got her first career multi-homer game. So she almost had it Friday, made sure she got it Saturday. But we mentioned that Ella's the co-player of the week. We had a few people that we could have nominated, Key being one of them. Every hit she had this weekend left the yard. She had 3 homers, led the team in RBIs, 1,500 slugging percentage. Sierra Sacco, game-tying grand slam on Saturday. A 1,000 slugging percentage, 667 average. All those numbers really show just how complete the team has been. It hasn't been just one person each week. It's been, like you've mentioned before, very balanced lineup up and down.
Yeah, and you see that really with the home run numbers. Those are easy to kind of pop off the screen. Sosa with double digits, Key now with double digits, several with 8, 9, 7, 6. It's kind of litters on down. Morgan Stiles got her another this weekend, so has several in SEC play alone in terms of home runs. Bernardini got another one this weekend. So the long ball is really good for us. I think we got 61 now. It's either 2nd or 3rd in the SEC, I believe, going into this weekend. So the long ball has been something that if you looked at our team coming into the season, we weren't sure if it was going to be a team that was going to get 60 home runs. And here we are already 60, probably on track for maybe 70 or more, depending on how the wind blows this weekend. We always kid Coach Ricketts about the Oklahoma wind and some of those home runs that she might have had back in the day. Just kidding. Coach Ricketts had a lot of home runs with or without the wind. She still does it in practice. But so hopefully we'll get some pitches to hit the ball well, and continue our strength from the offensive side. But you really saw that this weekend. Key 3 for 8, 3 home runs. Almost had another one like you mentioned. Sacco's ball is still going, the grand slam. And she's just casually leading the Southeastern Conference in batting average, hitting .504 going into the weekend. So not sure if enough people nationwide are understanding the kind of year that Sierra Sacco's having. I mean, I feel like every weekend on the show is almost a highlight of what Sacco's done. And, she makes so many good plays in the outfield. We see the arm strength with the 3 outfield assists, too. Kiara Sales had another outfield assist as well. The old 9-6 put out, just like you draw it up on the bingo card. Justin McLeod would be proud of the bingo card
It
reference.
was going to be a notable play either way because had she held on to the diving catch, that was going to be
No doubt.
a clip that we're going to post as well. But then very heads up to just pick it up and get the out anyway.
Yep. Threw her out from her knees with ease. That's her word, easy. That's one of the words she was talking about this last week. And obviously nothing easy about hitting 3 home runs in an SEC weekend, but she was able to do that. And really you just saw it kind of going top to bottom. Riley Hull turning the lineup over with some walks. Bernardini getting some bunt downs to keep it going along. Nadia Barber with the key 0-2, base hit up the middle to give us an insurance run in Game 3. So just a lot of things really working offensively, and you kind of saw that up and down the lineup.
Yeah, so the other thing we had to mention on key sales is, once again, we say this every week, Kiara got hit.
Yep.
16th hit by pitch. She's now 4th in MSU history in single season hit by pitches. She's leading the nation in hit by pitches. What have you seen out of Key that, even just mentality-wise, kind of the toughness to stand in there and to take a pitch and find any way on base?
Yeah, so like I was saying with the individual words we picked each week, her motto is to have fun. And I think when she's up to the plate, no matter if she's getting hit or not, she's always having fun. And also the work that she puts in outside of the field, like you can just tell the amount of trust that she has in herself. And also when she's just having fun and focusing on all of us, that's when she can just stand in the box, hit 3 home runs in SC weekend, or get hit. And it's just she has that mindset where she's going to do anything for her team. And that's a huge message for this year, too, is that we're all so close. Like, I've never been a part of a team where every single person, like, we are all so close and we can, if I need help, like, I can go to that one person. And that's also, like, I feel like me and Key are pretty opposite people, but, like, I know that I can go up to her and say, hey, like, you want to go hit? Or, hey, like, can I talk about this? Like, so I think all that comes together, and then when she's up to bat, she's just doing what she can to be a good teammate and just do whatever she can for our team, too.
Yeah. Moving to Sunday, you said the word was attack.
Yep.
Kind of got punched in the mouth again right off the bat, went down 2-0. Raylan did not allow a hit after that home run. She just retired 11 straight to in the ball game.
Yep.
10 unanswered runs, 10th comeback win of the year, 14th run rule win of the year. That's one shy of last year's school record. Ella, again, another double, multi-hit, multi-homer game. You mentioned the Styles home run. As a coaching staff, you said attack. How do you put that message out without sometimes overthinking it or over-attacking and getting into a world where you're chasing pitches, and Ricketts says it a lot herself, getting yourself out? You're not making the pitcher get you out, but you're getting yourself out. What is that coaching message to still attack but not go too far?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think you see that a lot, really, in Game 2. The attack mindset, even though we were down at 1.7 runs. We're able to really get the tying run on deck in the 7th. So we put 3 runs up on the board in the 7th, had a couple more runners on. And I think the attack mindset of you're never really out of the fight. It's not like football or basketball where you can run the clock out. Football, you take a knee, and next thing you know, 2 minutes off the clock's gone. You still got to get outs, and softball, same with baseball too. So staying with that attack mindset, keeping getting runners on. You saw that a lot. We had a lot of leadoff batters on. We call them Lobos on our quad chart, our process chart. You had several Lobos there in the 4-4 outing on Saturday, and you knew sooner or later we were going to start chipping away at some of that, and we did. You saw that late in the game in the 6th and the 7th inning, and we really felt after the game that, we just ran out of outs. It's kind of an expression we used to talk about on Sunday pregame, was we felt like we ran out of outs. We were close to knocking that door down, and, again, a very strong Missouri team. They have a lot of home runs as well. They got a really strong offense too, especially with the long ball and the extra base hits, and you saw that in the Saturday game. But being able to get deep into their bullpen, and I thought that was big, being able to knock the starter out and then get into the bullpen and then get into their closer who hadn't really thrown the whole weekend until late in the game on Saturday, kind of being able to see her really set us up for success on Sunday because we got to see her again. We had a really good plan against the Friday night starter. We saw her again on Sunday and kind of was able to keep that momentum rolling in that we had late in the game on Saturday. We didn't get the result we wanted. We did win the late innings, but it was just a little bit too late on Saturday. But you could see that the offense kind of really coming to life, and it kind of rolled into Sunday. So, yeah, the attack mindset really kind of stayed true for the 3-game set this weekend.
And you said never out of the fight. And so this is a fun note that's going to come up, I'm sure, multiple times this weekend. So among active SEC head coaches at their current school, Patty Gasso leads the way with 8 comeback wins when her team was down by 5 or more runs. She's obviously done that in 30-plus years at Oklahoma. Coach Ricketts, in 6 years at Mississippi State, is one behind her at 7. So they're 1-2 in the SEC. Lots of comeback wins. I thought we were going to have another one there. We went down 5 runs. Sacco with the grand slam to tie things up. Would have been really something to try to find how many times a team had come back from 2 5-run deficits in the same game if we had finished that comeback. But I think that's a big piece of it. And like I said, I think we'll see that come up some this weekend, that you've got those 2 coaches that lead the SEC and comeback wins. They've definitely instilled that mentality in their teams, and it's going to be a battle when we get to Norman this weekend.
No question.
But Sacco, grand slam, that breaks the school record. The team now has 6 grand slams on the year. And we've talked before on this show, 39% of our runs this year have come from the home run. And when you hear something like, oh, well, they've hit a school record 6 grand slams, okay, well, that explains it. Like, they're getting all these tons of runs off of home runs. We've got half of our home runs are solo shots, though. So it's kind of been a little bit, as you've talked about before, kind of everything. There's not any big outlier where, oh, it's all 3 and 4 run home runs, or, oh, it's all solo shots. It's kind of been a mix. And yes, there's been a lot of runs scored off of home runs, but you've also found a lot of ways to get other runs across the plate. Definitely. And I think you see that too with your doubles as well, and multiple RBI games for you this weekend with the doubles. Talk a little bit about the way that you've seen the team be able to do both.
Well, we knew kind of coming into the season, we thought we were as athletic as we've ever been. Really 1 through 9. He took at our lineup and the speed. You see that in the stolen base numbers, 92% give or take. Stolen base percentage, I think we're 41 to 44 or 41 to 45 on the year now. You see that with the doubles. In addition to being top 3, 4 in home runs, we're also top 3 and 4 in doubles. We've got 7 triples to go along with it. So just a balanced attack that can score from far, to use a term from Jeff Levy here with football, being able to score from first. And you see that a lot on balls that are hitting the gaps, hitting those doubles, but we're driving in runs from first. And you just see that up and down the lineup. The 300 runs scored, that we're on pace for a pretty high number of runs scored here. I'd have to go back to the record books to see where that stands in terms of school history. But we thought with a team that has speed like we have, we thought with a team that is athletic and can do some things right-handed, left-handed, it's probably the most balanced attack we've had in our 11 or 12 years together, Coach Ricketts and I here at Mississippi State, just being able to see the way that we can manufacture runs. You talk about the 9-hole hitter for us with 3 home runs this weekend. When's the last time that happens? It's something that we're proud of, certainly not satisfied. Still got a lot of games left to go in the regular season. But certainly a pretty balanced attack. And when you're looking at our offense, the 4-hole can go yard, the 5-hole can go yard, the 9-hole can go yard, the 1-hole can go yard. It's really anybody in the lineup, and you kind of picking your poison on who you want to attack. If you want to put Sacco on base, but she has a ton of walks this year. Well, Nadia Barbery's got 8 home runs right behind her. Nadia Barbery's got a ton of RBIs behind her. Oh, and by the way, she led the Southeastern Conference in doubles last year in SEC games alone. So, and then you got Kylie Edwards behind them, and you got Lexi Sosa, who might be pitching for you. She might be hitting for you. She might come off the bench for you. There's a lot of ways she can beat you there too. So just excited about the attack we have, and really can't speak enough about what Coach Ricketts has done with the hitters. Coach Shaw gets a lot of credit with that too. And just the balanced attack we have on the offensive side and the defensive side. Well,
the balanced attack is going to make this next question quite fun, because I think you guys are going to have a healthy debate as you try to answer this. So we have Yakkertech here at News Park. It measures all the batted balls. It's how we're getting you that home run data that we put out on social media for distance, exit velo, all of that. We have it at a few other SEC parks as well. So not every game is included in this, but in everything that we can measure, who do you think has the longest home run ball this year? And I'll tell you, these are the people who have hit a ball over 275. Okay, Lexi Sosa has done it 3 times. Sierra Sacco's done it twice. Nadia Barbary, Kiara Sells, Ella Wesolowski. Those are your multiple choice options. Who do you think has hit the ball the farthest this year?
Well, without Yakkertech, I'd have to say the home run Key Sales hit in Chicago, the one on top of the gym.
One would.
That's got to be 300 plus.
It does.
Have Yakkertech
It does
data in
not
Chicago.
factor into this pool of numbers.
We've hit some long balls this year. The one that Sacco hit, it's probably been a month ago. Man, that was hit a long way. I went way deep in the parking lot, probably row 4 or 5 back there. If the fire trucks were there, it would have easily cleared the fire trucks, which we saw the firemen hit some really big home runs this weekend too. But I got to say, with our Yakkertech, it's got to be Sacco's home run.
You're going Sacco?
Yeah, because, like, obviously we all know Lexi can literally hit the ball 400 feet. But I feel like with her home runs, they're more like liners, like straight, like, missiles like over the fence. I think Sacco, when she gets a hold of it and she pulls it, it has the height and it's obviously hit hard. So I have to go with Sacco.
Yeah, Sierra Sacco 290 against New Mexico there that last week at February, first week of March. So Sierra Sacco 290. That's your longest home run hit in News Park this year.
Not surprised.
Another player who's been hitting home runs, and you mentioned her a minute ago, Morgan Stiles. Yep. So we talked when we had her on the show a little bit about the slow start to the season, but she's really coming to her own now. When you look at her SEC-only numbers, leads the team in home runs in SEC play with 5. Slugging percentage, 829 in conference play. That's best on the team. It's 4th in the SEC in conference play. And then, again, leads the team in RBIs in SEC play. You were a freshman last year, and your claim was that you were one of the top 5 freshmen in the conference in batting average. What have you seen similar between your freshman year and her freshman year and how she's had to adjust and get used to the college game?
Yeah, so I think me and her are very similar in the aspect where extra work is huge for us because anytime I'm in there, like I see her in there, anytime I'm like giving lessons or whatever, like she's also in there too. And I think like just with that, it just shows like with the extra work, like hitting is such a big thing for the both of us. And I think she buys into the fact that like, even though she's a freshman, like these girls aren't going to beat her. Like, and she knows exactly what they're going to be throwing. She knows exactly, not even just that, I think she just trusts herself. Like, and me and her, with the extra work, that's where we're similar, in that aspect. And I think, also a big similarity is, as SEC play has gone on, she just keeps getting better and keeps getting better. She keeps learning. And I think, she really bounces, off all of us, like in our, even the upperclassmen. The upperclassmen have been huge too. And she's not afraid to ask questions. And I think just with her, she just continues to learn, continues to work hard, and just goes off of that.
And we've mentioned just her progression. I know when it comes to making the lineup, the last 10 games plays a big role.
Yep.
Started the season in the 9-hole. Was in the cleanup spot this weekend. So as you guys are sitting there in the dugout writing a lineup card, what goes into the thought to just keep moving her up?
Well, there's a saying that, the coaches don't make the lineup cards, the players do, right? What by their work ethic, by what they're doing in practice, by what they've shown illustrated throughout the season. A lot of times the lineup writes itself in terms of that. And when you look at the numbers that you just mentioned, the high slugging percentage, the high RBI percentage, hitting well over 300 in conference play, it was a deal where, like, hey, this kid's been clutch for us time and time again. The big comeback against Auburn, week 1, she was a big part of that with the bases clearing double to kind of get us back into that game late in the game, but set up the Nadia Barbary grand slam right behind that. So you start seeing what she's been able to do, and it took her a little bit to come into her own. We're not surprised that she's having the kind of year she's had. She had those types of things in the fall. I mean, she was one of the kids that led our team in hitting this fall. She puts in the work. Ella just mentioned that. You look at her blast numbers and stuff we've talked about on the show show before, she's one of the ones that swings the bat the most out of anybody in practice, whether it be in our 20 hours or outside of that. So you knew sooner or later it was going to level out, and that's why the season's a marathon, not a sprint. If it's just a 2-week sample size, you're not seeing some of this, but over the course of now 10 weeks into it, the cream's kind of rising to the top a little bit, and you're seeing that with her offensive numbers. She's been a very strong defender for us too. Takes a lot of pride in what she can do from the defensive side of the ball, and she's another one with big arm strength. We talked about our athletic and how dynamic we are in that standpoint. Her arm strength comes to mind when you look at the way we won a game at Trash Panda Stadium. 2 outs, ball off the wall, relay in, and she throws a dart from about 150 feet away right to Jesse in stride, bang, bang, play at the plate, and we win the game on that relay. And you see that stuff that maybe doesn't get seen enough in the scorebook, but you're starting to see that stuff kind of pay off. And it was a pretty easy choice to slide her up in the lineup. We kind of flirted with the some in our last midweek game, moved her up to maybe the 5 or the 6. Moved her around a little bit at Tennessee, and then decided to go back with her in the 4-hole this weekend, and it paid off with a couple of big swings from her.
Yeah, and you mentioned the arm strength, so perfect transition here for Ella, who is, we already mentioned pickoffs and caught stealings, but arm strength throwing is a big deal to you. It's so much of a big deal to you that it played into the jersey number on your back. So how about you tell people why you wear number 74? Because every time we go to a visiting stadium, people are like, why do you have an offensive lineman behind the plate? Like, what's this number 74 thing? So explain number 74 for the people back home.
So it actually came from the camp here that I came to at State. And I remember, I think, who was running at the time? I think Mia Davidson and Jackie McKenna were all running the overhand velocity and Shira just for the camp and everything. And I had hit 72, 73, and 74 all in a row. And they wouldn't let me keep going because it was only 3 balls for each player, and that made me so mad. I was like, but so it came from that. And I do take a lot of pride with throwing, and shout out to my catching coach at home, Chris News. He has taught me pretty much everything I know about catching and how to take care of my arm and how I can keep throwing that hard all throughout the season and everything. But yeah, 74 came from a camp here, and that was the last number that I had hit at the camp. So it's pretty cool that it came from here too in a camp that was here. So.
Yeah. So 74 miles an hour, carries that with her every time she gets there behind the plate. It's almost a little warning sign for the runners, right? Yep. You got 74 miles an hour behind the plate coming right at you if you're thinking about getting a little too far off or getting not an ideal jump. She's going to make you pay for it. So I also wanted to ask you about Raylan Chafin, because behind the plate you do a lot that I think nowadays is maybe more noticed, especially with the way MLB has gone. There's a little more value placed to catchers other than just being a backstop behind there and controlling the running game. And people realize the ability to steal strikes matters. So Mississippi State is 3rd in the SEC in looking strikeouts. Raylan Chafin leads the conference with 42. As a catcher, what is it that either she does that is contributing to that, or that you think you've done well to help steal some of those borderline pitches and get those last outs?
Yeah, I mean, Raylan is a straight dog. Like, she knows how to command her pitches. Her pitches move all over the place. And I think a big thing with catching that people don't always realize with receiving is, one, there's so many factors that goes into it, like the timing of it. You have to time it right in order to try and fool the umpires, essentially, what we're doing. The way you set up, also how the umpire slot is, and just studying that too. Like, it just depends if they're standing over you in a certain way. If you go into a certain position, is that going to alter how they see it? Is it going to look more like a ball, or is it going to more look like a strike? But with how much Raylan's pitches moves, and just having that practice with her pitches, I just think with receiving, it's been a huge part, just one, getting to know her because it's her first year here. It's my first year with catching her. But yeah, I think all of that together, like, it's a huge thing that I can be able to steal strikes for her, and that she can trust me back there to get her strikes and maybe throw the ball a little bit off the plate to make it a little more challenging for the hitter, and then know that I can steal that strike for her, and she doesn't have to put in as much with that, and I can help her out a lot too behind there, which means a lot.
As a coach in the dugout, too, Brad, I know sometimes we talk about umpires and strike zones. Are there ever times where, regardless, Ella or even the other team, where you sometimes just have to tip your cap and be like, yeah, that one fooled the umpire. I don't think it was a strike, but man, that catcher, that's why that's a strike. It's because of that catcher. Are there ever those times where you just, okay, tip of the cap to you?
Yep, definitely. And another one that doesn't really get talked about a lot too is the foul tip catch. Those are hard ones, but you get a strike two, a foul tip, and you're able to secure that. That's a big out too. And how many times have you seen it where you just fouled one off? You go back to Sacco's grand slam. The pitch before the grand slam, she just tipped it like on a 1-2 or 2-2 count. The catcher almost had it and dropped it, and then the next pitch was the grand slam. So that's something that doesn't really get seen a lot. We talk about stealing strikes, but being able to hold on to foul tips, and I think it's something that you and Jesse this year have really done a great job too. And you're right, when Raylan's got her mix going, she's going up down, she's going east west, and she's got the changeup to go along with it. Being able to have control of her total arsenal of pitches and having catchers behind there, both you and Jesse too, that she can trust to maybe to bury the breaking ball with the runner at third. You guys are going to keep it off the wall. Those things are massive. And you're right, when you see a catcher really stick one well, or maybe an off-speed pitch you let travel a little bit to make it look more like a strike, and then you get that call, those are huge for both us. And you tip your cap to the other catcher sometimes, and it works against us.
Yeah. Well, we're getting ready to round third and head for home. So big weekend ahead, Mr. Coach T. Brett, going to Oklahoma, and Friday night's going to be a little bit special. Tell us about what we have coming up this week.
Yeah, we're going to play at the home of the College World Series, Devon Park, so that'll be exciting for Friday night. Been there often to recruit. Seen several tournament games. You might have even played there once upon a time. I think several of our players have played there in that regard. But a nice be able to play a college game there in OKC at Devon Park. I think last week they played Oklahoma State, and the Bedlam rivalry had around 9,000 fans there. So I imagine it's going to be pretty close to that again this Friday night. Big SEC showdown. They're 10-5. We're 9-6. So a lot at stake, obviously, just from SEC standing standpoint. But I can imagine it being a good crowd on Friday night. And when they proposed that to Coach Rick and said, "Hey, what do you guys think about playing here on Friday night?" We're like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." It'll be a good road test for us. Obviously, Oklahoma fan base is one of the best, if not the best, in the country. So it'll be exciting to play in Oklahoma City Friday night, and then we'll get the next two games at Love's Field, which is one of the really nice stadiums in all of college softball. They put a lot of money into that, and it's exciting. So only been open a little over a year now. They opened up some point in last season, so it'll be a good road trip for us to be able to check out Love's Field too, and the unfriendly confines, if you will, on the road as you expect in the SEC. But it's something that you come in this league for. You want to play against the best. You want to play in the best facilities, the best environments, whether they're hostile or not. It doesn't really matter. We're excited about the opportunity to go into Oklahoma and take on the Sooners this weekend.
And you have coached Mississippi State at Devon Park one time before.
Yep.
Mississippi State is 1-0 at the stadium. 2017, 8-0 win in 6 innings over UAB. It was right after a tournament there in Norman. Just kind of picked up one more game on the way home. What is the importance of that postseason atmosphere?
Well, it's
being
huge.
able to be in that venue, in that crowd. And I know I'll throw it to you too, as we look at what has this team tried to do that has never been done before. We've never played at a World Series. So how do you prepare for that? Because that is the goal.
Yeah, I think, everything happens twice. First in your mind, then second in reality. And this is a chance to kind of have it in your mind and also play there in real life, obviously ahead of the World Series. And the Big 12 teams for a long time have had a big advantage being able to play in that stadium. The Big 12 tournament's always been there. So it's kind of a precursor when you look at the success that Texas has had in the postseason, look at the success that Oklahoma's had in the postseason, even Oklahoma State, recent success in postseason. I think it's huge to be able to play in that environment, just kind of get a feel for what OKC is all about. Obviously, it's the home of the College Softball Hall of Fame. The name is also Hall of Fame Stadium to go along with Devon Park. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to kind of be in that arena, if you will. And I think a lot of SEC stadiums kind of prepare for that too. Davis Diamond and College Station is a big one. The Rhodes House, we talked about them at length before. That's a tough place to play. So I think the more opportunities you can have in the regular season to set you up for postseason is huge, because we're going to be in some tough environments as you roll into regionals and super regionals and hopefully the World Series too. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to get to go into Oklahoma City and play in that venue.
And what are you looking forward to about both of those stadiums and getting in there to, like you said, see kind of those postseason atmospheres?
Well, one, it's awesome, and we're all super excited. And I think to bounce off what T-Brow was saying, it's like the experience of it too. And I would imagine it's a whole different feel knowing like this is where the World Series is being played. And I think our team does really well bouncing off of the opposing team's crowd and their energy. And I think that's going to be really cool to feel. And also just, it's a World Series field. So I think we're all super excited, and we're going to use it as practice for when we go to the College World Series. And we're all excited about that too.
All right. Well, as we wrap this up, a couple things that are in play here, kind of at stake. So no former player under Patty Gasso who's become a head coach has ever beaten her as a head coach. So a win would do that for Coach Ricketts. It would also, we've talked about this multiple times for Coach Ricketts, she's now one win away from tying the record for most ranked wins by a head coach here at Mississippi State. It would also mark the 6th time that we've ever beaten 2 different top 5 teams in the same season. Do you know the last time? This will be our kind of show-ending trivia question. The last time that we beat 2 different top 5 teams in the same year.
I'm going to say 2014, Alabama and Tennessee back-to-back. We won those 2 series back-to-back. I think one was number 3 and one was number 5 at the time.
It was number 3 and number 4.
That was close.
You are correct in the historical knowledge, but that is not the most recent time it has happened. You have any ideas, Ella?
No, I don't have the stat brain.
Mr. Coach T-Brett was a history major. He remembers things, but he does miss and forget 2022. Number 4, Florida at Florida, and then, of course, the doubleheader sweep against number 2, Florida State in the regional. So,
Sunshine State was good to us that year.
It was. And to take 3 top 5 wins on the road, pretty big accomplishment. Obviously, we all know what happened in that 2022 year. That's the most successful year that this program's ever had, and obviously something that we want to get back to as we get ready. So, lots to play for. Kind of a preview of the postseason with both Loves Field and, as we mentioned, Devon Park. So, very big weekend ahead as we head over to Oklahoma.
Yep, big weekend on the road. No more non-conference games, no more midweek games for us. It's just the 9 SEC weekend, really 9 SEC games ahead of us. So back-to-back road trips, Kentucky and Oklahoma, and then, of course, we'll return home for our season finale against Ole Miss in News Park. So exciting week coming up. We'll fly out Thursday, a little Easter weekend in Norman. So hopefully we'll get a lot of Mississippi State fans there to check us out. But we'll go ahead and sign off on the show here. This is episode 10 of the Riding Third podcast. For Brian Ogden and Ella Wesolowski, I'm Tyler Bratton. Hail State.
Hail State.
Hail State.